My wife Sarah was holding our baby Emma by the lake, both laughing at the ducks. It was the perfect morning. I was making coffee inside our cabin when I heard the gunshots. In 5 seconds my whole world ended. And the woman who destroyed my family had no idea I owned everything. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. My name is David. I want to tell you a story that changed my life forever. It's about love, loss, and justice. It's about how sometimes the worst things happen to good people, but in the end, truth always wins. It was a beautiful Saturday morning in June. The sun was shining bright over Crystal Lake. My wife Sarah and I had come to our small cabin with our baby daughter, Emma. She was only 8 months old, with big blue eyes and the sweetest smile. Sarah was sitting on our wooden dock, holding Emma in her arms. The baby was laughing at the ducks swimming nearby. I was inside making coffee when I heard Sarah calling to Emma. "Look, baby. Look at the pretty ducks." Emma clapped her tiny hands and giggled. That sound was like music to my ears. I smiled and watched them through the window. This was our happy place. Our escape from the busy city life. We had bought this cabin 2 years ago. It was small but perfect for our little family. What Sarah didn't know was that I had bought much more than just the cabin. I owned the entire lake and all the land around it. But I kept this secret because I wanted our life to be simple and normal. I was a successful businessman, but money never mattered to me as much as family. Sarah married me when I was poor. She loved me for who I was, not what I had. So I never told her about my wealth. That peaceful morning was about to become a nightmare. Across the lake lived a woman named Margaret Thompson. Everyone called her Karen, because she was always complaining and causing trouble. She was the president of the HOA, the Homeowners Association. Karen was about 50 years old, with short gray hair and a permanent frown on her face. She wore expensive clothes and drove a big white SUV. She thought she was better than everyone else. Karen had been bothering us for months. She would come to our cabin and complain about everything. Our music was too loud, even when we had no music. Our car was parked wrong. Our dock needed painting. She always found something to complain about. The truth was, Karen was jealous. Her husband had left her last year and she was bitter and angry. She took out her anger on everyone around her, especially young couples like Sarah and me. That morning, Karen came stomping down to our dock. She was wearing her white tennis outfit and carrying a clipboard. Her face was red with anger. "Hey, you people," she shouted. "You can't use this dock." Sarah looked up, surprised. Emma started crying because of the loud voice. "Excuse me?" Sarah said politely. "This is our dock. We live here." "I don't care," Karen screamed. "The HOA rules say no babies allowed on the docks. It's dangerous and noisy." This was a lie. There was no such rule. Karen just wanted to hurt us. I heard the shouting and ran outside. I could see Sarah was upset and Emma was crying louder. "What's the problem here?" I asked, trying to stay calm. Karen turned her angry eyes on me. "The problem is you people don't follow rules. This baby doesn't belong here. Young families like you are ruining our peaceful community." "Ma'am, we have every right to be here," I said firmly. "This is our property." "Your property?" Karen laughed in a mean way. "You rent this little shack. I've been living here for 15 years. I know what I'm talking about." She didn't know that I actually owned not just our cabin but her house too. I owned everything around the lake. But I stayed quiet. "Please leave us alone," Sarah said, standing up with Emma. "You're scaring our baby." "Good. Maybe you'll learn to keep that brat inside where it belongs." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. No one had ever called our precious Emma a brat. I felt anger rising in my chest, but I tried to control it. "That's enough," I said. "You need to leave our property right now." "Or what?" Karen challenged. "You'll call the police?" My brother-in-law is the sheriff. He knows who really matters in this town." Karen stomped back to her house, but we could see her watching us from her window. Sarah was shaken by the encounter. "David, why does she hate us so much?" Sarah asked, rocking Emma gently. "Some people are just unhappy, honey. Don't let her ruin our day." But I was worried. I could see the dangerous look in Karen's eyes. I had dealt with difficult people in business, but Karen seemed different. She seemed unstable. Over the next hour, Karen called the police 3 times with false complaints. She said we were playing loud music, we weren't. She said we were having a party, it was just the 3 of us. She said Emma was crying too loud and disturbing the peace. Each time the police came and found nothing wrong. They started getting annoyed with Karen's constant calls. "Ma'am, you can't keep calling us with false reports," Officer Johnson told her. These people aren't breaking any laws. Karen's face got redder with each visit. I could see she was losing control. Around noon, Sarah decided to take Emma inside for a nap. She was walking slowly up the path from the dock, humming a lullaby to our sleepy baby. That's when Karen appeared again. This time she was carrying something that made my blood run cold, a gun. "I warned you," Karen screamed, pointing the gun at Sarah and Emma. "I told you to leave." Sarah stopped walking. Her face went white with fear. "Please," she whispered. "Please don't hurt my baby." I was frozen with terror. This couldn't be happening. Not to my family. Not to my innocent wife and baby. Karen put the gun down. I shouted. "This is insane." "Insane?" she laughed wildly. "What's insane is letting people like you ruin our beautiful lake. Well, I'm going to fix this problem once and for all." "Please," Sarah begged, tears streaming down her face. "She's just a baby. She never hurt anyone." For a moment I thought Karen might listen. I thought she might remember that she was about to hurt an innocent child. But hate had poisoned her heart completely. "Maybe next time you'll think twice about bringing your noise to my lake." Karen snarled. The gunshot echoed across the water like thunder. Sarah cried out and fell to the ground, still holding Emma tight against her chest. Blood began to spread across her yellow summer dress. "Sarah!" I screamed, running toward them. But Karen wasn't finished. She fired again. And again. My world ended in those few seconds. My beautiful wife, my perfect little daughter. Both lying still on the ground, their lives stolen by hate and madness. I dropped to my knees beside them, not caring that Karen still had the gun. Nothing mattered anymore. My heart was shattered into a million pieces. "Sarah, stay with me," I whispered, but her eyes were already closed. Emma was so small and still in her arms. They looked like they were sleeping except for all the blood. Other neighbors had heard the gunshots and came running. Someone called 911. Someone tackled Karen and took away her gun. But it was too late. Too late for everything that mattered. The ambulance came. The police came. They put my family on stretchers and covered them with white sheets. Those white sheets were the last thing I saw of the two people who made my life worth living. Karen was arrested, but she showed no remorse. As they put handcuffs on her, she actually smiled. "They got what they deserved," she said coldly. "Now maybe this place will be peaceful again." I wanted to hurt her. I wanted to make her pay right then and there. But I was too broken, too empty. I just sat on the ground where my family had died and cried until I had no tears left. The next weeks passed in a blur of pain. The funeral was the hardest day of my life. Sarah looked beautiful in her white dress. Emma was dressed like a little angel. So many people came to say goodbye. They told me how sorry they were, but their words couldn't fill the hole in my heart. Karen was charged with double murder. Her lawyer tried to claim she was mentally ill, that she didn't know what she was doing. But everyone knew the truth. She knew exactly what she was doing. She chose to kill my family because of her own hate and jealousy. I stopped eating. I stopped sleeping. I couldn't go back to work. All I did was sit in our empty house looking at pictures of Sarah and Emma. Everything reminded me of them. Emma's toys. Sarah's books. The coffee mug she used every morning. My friends and family tried to help, but I pushed them away. I didn't want to be comforted. I wanted to feel the pain because it was all I had left of them. Some days I thought about joining them. The world seemed too cruel and empty without their laughter and love. But something inside me said I had to stay. I had to make sure justice was done. Detective Maria Santos was assigned to the case. She was a kind woman with dark hair and gentle eyes. She visited me several times to ask questions about what happened. "Mr. Johnson," she said during one visit, "I need you to know that we're going to make sure Karen pays for what she did." "Will she?" I asked. "Her brother-in-law is the sheriff. She said she has connections." Detective Santos frowned. "Sheriff Thompson isn't handling this case because of the conflict of interest. We've brought in investigators from the state. Karen won't get any special treatment." She was right. As the investigation continued, the truth about Karen came out. She had been terrorizing neighbors for years. She had made false complaints to police dozens of times. She had threatened other families with children. The gun she used wasn't even legal. She had bought it from a criminal because she couldn't pass a background check. She had been planning this for weeks. But the biggest surprise came when Detective Santos looked into the property records around the lake. "Mr. Johnson," Detective Santos said during our last meeting, "I need to ask you something. The property records show something interesting. You don't just own the cabin where you lived. You own this entire area. The lake, the land, even the house where Karen lived. Is this correct?" I nodded slowly. Yes. I bought it all 2 years ago through my company. But I never told anyone, not even Sarah. Why not? Sarah fell in love with me when I was poor. I wanted our marriage to be about love, not money. So I kept living simply. I only told her about the cabin because I wanted us to have a peaceful place to raise our family. Detective Santos stared at me. Do you realize what this means? Karen didn't just murder your family on your property. She murdered them on property that she was actually renting from you. You were her landlord. The irony was bitter. All those months Karen had been telling us we didn't belong there, she was living in a house that I owned. All her threats about having power and connections meant nothing. I could have evicted her any time. If only I had told the truth from the beginning. If only Karen had known who she was dealing with. Maybe my family would still be alive. Karen's trial began 6 months after the murders. The courthouse was packed with people from our community. Many came to support me. Others came just to see justice done. Karen's lawyer tried everything. He claimed she was mentally ill. He claimed she was defending herself. He even tried to say the gun went off accidentally twice. But the evidence was clear. Karen had planned this. She had bought an illegal gun. She had threatened us multiple times. She had shown no remorse. The prosecutor, a strong woman named Jennifer Martinez, presented the case perfectly. She showed the jury photos of Sarah and Emma. She played recordings of Karen's hate-filled phone calls to police. She brought in neighbors who testified about Karen's threats. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, she said in her closing statement, this was not an accident. This was not self-defense. This was cold-blooded murder of a young mother and innocent baby by a woman consumed with hate. When it was time for Karen to testify, I watched her closely. She tried to act sorry, but I could see the evil still in her eyes. She claimed she was scared of us, that she felt threatened by a 25-year-old woman holding a baby. I was just trying to protect my community, she lied. But when the prosecutor cross-examined her, Karen's true nature came out. You called a 8-month-old baby a brat, didn't you? Ms. Martinez asked. Well, yes, but... You told the police that Mr. and Mrs. Johnson got what they deserved, didn't you? I was upset. You smiled when you were arrested, didn't you? Karen couldn't answer. Her mask had slipped and everyone could see the monster underneath. The jury deliberated for only 2 hours. When they came back, the foreman stood up. On the charge of first-degree murder in the death of Sarah Johnson, we find the defendant guilty. On the charge of first-degree murder in the death of Emma Johnson, we find the defendant guilty. Karen's face went white. She had expected her connections to save her. She had expected sympathy for being a frightened woman. But justice is blind to such things. The judge sentenced her to life in prison without the possibility of parole. 2 life sentences to be served consecutively. Margaret Thompson, the judge said, you have committed one of the most heinous crimes this court has ever seen. You took the lives of an innocent mother and baby because of your own hatred and jealousy. You will spend the rest of your natural life in prison, and that is still not enough punishment for what you have done. Karen was led away in chains. She didn't look at me as she passed. She knew she had lost everything just as she had taken everything from me. After the trial, I had one more thing to do. I called a meeting with all the residents around Crystal Lake. I had something to tell them. About 30 people gathered in the community center that evening. Many of them had been Karen's friends and supporters. They had believed her lies about us being troublemakers. I want you all to know something, I began. For the past 2 years, I've been living quietly among you. You knew me as David Johnson, the guy with the small cabin. But there's something you don't know. I pulled out a folder of legal documents. I am the owner of Crystal Lake Development Company. I own this entire lake, all the land around it, and all of your homes. You are all my tenants. The room went silent. People looked shocked and confused. Karen Thompson spent months telling my wife and me that we didn't belong here. She said she had more right to be here than we did. She terrorized my family because she thought she had power over us. I paused, thinking of Sarah and Emma. The truth is, Karen was living in a house that I owned. She was paying rent to a company that I owned. Every month, her rent money went to me. And she killed my family because she thought they didn't have the right to be here. Mrs. Peterson, an elderly woman who had been Karen's friend, started crying. Oh my God, she whispered. We're so sorry. We believed her lies about you. I could have evicted everyone who supported Karen. I could have raised their rent or sold their houses. But revenge wouldn't bring back my family. Instead, I made a different choice. I'm establishing the Sarah and Emma Johnson Memorial Foundation, I announced. This foundation will ensure that Crystal Lake remains a safe, peaceful place for families with children. Part of Karen's house will be converted into a playground. Part will be a family center where parents can bring their children to play safely. I also announced that I was reducing everyone's rent and creating a fund for families in need. My wife Sarah believed in kindness and helping others. My daughter Emma brought joy to everyone she met. Their memory will live on through acts of love, not revenge. The community rallied around this vision. People who had once supported Karen began volunteering for the foundation. They organized charity drives for families with babies. They planted a garden in Sarah and Emma's honor. It took time, but slowly the lake community began to heal. Where once there had been Karen's hate, now there was love and support for families. I moved away from the cabin. The memories were too painful. But I visited regularly to see the memorial garden and watch children playing in the playground built in Emma's honor. The Sarah and Emma Johnson Memorial Foundation grew beyond what I had imagined. We helped hundreds of families. We created safe spaces for children. We promoted kindness and community support. Sometimes I would sit by the lake at sunset and remember that perfect morning when Sarah and Emma were laughing at the ducks. The pain was still there, and it always would be. But now it was mixed with something else, the knowledge that their deaths had meaning. Karen had tried to destroy love with hate. Instead, she had created something beautiful, a community united in love and support for families. 3 years after the trial, I received an unexpected letter. It was from Karen, writing from prison. David, I know you probably don't want to hear from me. I know I'm the last person who should be writing to you. But I needed to say something. I've had 3 years to think about what I did. 3 years to remember the look on Sarah's face when she begged me not to hurt Emma. 3 years to realize that I destroyed the most precious thing in the world, a family's love. I was sick with hate and jealousy. I was angry at the world because my life hadn't turned out the way I wanted. But that's no excuse for what I did. Nothing can excuse what I did. I heard about the foundation you started. I heard about the playground and the garden. I heard about all the families you're helping. Sarah and Emma would be proud. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I wanted you to know that their deaths haunt me every day. I see Emma's little face in my dreams. I hear Sarah's voice begging for her baby's life. I will carry this guilt until the day I die. I'm sorry. Those words are not enough, but they're all I have. Margaret Thompson. I read the letter several times. Part of me wanted to tear it up and throw it away. But another part of me recognized something I had never seen in Karen before, genuine remorse. I wrote back, Margaret, I can't forgive you. That's not something I'm capable of right now, and maybe I never will be. But I believe you when you say you're sorry. Sarah always said that hurt people hurt people. Maybe if someone had helped you with your pain years ago, my family would still be alive. That's why the foundation works to support all families, because children who grow up with love don't grow up to hate. Use your remaining years to find peace with God, if you believe in God. Use them to discourage others from the path of hatred you chose. That's the only way your life can have any meaning now. David, 5 years have passed since that terrible day. The Sarah and Emma Johnson Memorial Foundation has helped over 1,000 families. The Crystal Lake community has become a model for how people can come together after tragedy. I eventually remarried, a kind teacher named Lisa who understands my loss and helps me honor Sarah and Emma's memory. We have a son now, little Michael, who plays in the playground built for Emma. Every year on the anniversary of their deaths, the entire community gathers by the lake. We light candles, share memories, and pledge to choose love over hate. Children who never knew Sarah and Emma learn their story and understand why kindness matters. Karen died in prison 2 years ago. According to the chaplain, she spent her final years helping other inmates learn to read and write. Maybe she found some peace before the end. The lake is still beautiful. Families still come to swim and play and laugh. Children still chase ducks along the shore. And sometimes, when the sunset hits the water just right, I swear I can hear Sarah's laughter and Emma's giggles carried on the wind. Evil tried to win that day. Hate tried to destroy love. But love is stronger. Love always finds a way to grow, even in the darkest soil. My wife and daughter are gone, but their story lives on. Every child who plays safely at Crystal Lake is a victory over the hate that tried to silence them. Every family that finds help through their foundation is proof that love cannot be killed. That's the truth I want you to remember from this story. No matter how dark things get, no matter how much evil seems to win, love will always find a way. Love will always have the last word. And that's why I tell this story, not just for justice but for hope. For Sarah, for Emma. For all of us who choose love over hate, every single day. In memory of all innocent lives lost to hate, and in hope for a world where love prevails.